right, dude. Perfect. What's up, guys? Turn off my music. This is Roman from Zed Racing. He's been absolutely gracious enough to give us some of his time, and we can nerd out on Zed. And obviously, I'll give Roman a little bit of a background on us and the Degens. We initially, me and Farmer Steve had discovered Zed a few months ago, and obviously since then have been crying that we didn't jump on it when we jumped on it about 3 weeks ago, as you can imagine. But ever since then, it's gone like wildfire. Like, you mean, it's absolutely. I've seen the channel explode just from your Twitch watching live races. We have it in our chat just every night. When are we racing? We've had NFT fan art created for some of the horses that we have, like Mayu, which is a firehouse thing. People have hit us with fan art for NFTs and stuff, and we're like trying to track down who made them so we could get them. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause they're awesome. So we've actually just, like I said, we've been taken by storm with this. Do you want to start by giving us just a little introduction about who you are, or what your background is, and how you got introduced to Zed?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I've kind of new to the Degen crowd. It's a hell of a community. I'm excited to be here and talk on behalf of the Zed team at Virtually Human Studio and give you guys a little bit of an idea of what Zed is and what it'll become. It's an exciting new NFT project. It is the first kind of foray into what a breathing NFT looks like. And when I say that, I mean a breathing NFT that can be, its genetics can be passed down. It can be bought, bred, traded, collected, raced. You know, you've mentioned a little bit about your community expressing themselves and creating artwork. We've seen so much kind of community expression. You know, you really build a bond with the horse. It's a visual experience. Obviously, it's based digitally, but the bond is real, and people go crazy for their horse. And I'm a horse owner, Ernest stable hand myself, so I can tell you it's a lot of fun being out there on the track. And I'm sure I've seen a couple of you guys have dusted me probably. I rarely win, but it's exciting to be here, man. So I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Like I said, you actually touched on a thing there, talking about the racing. When I first brought this up, we had a couple people had very guttural, emotional reactions, being like, "No, horse racing is disgusting," and then posting links. And I actually had to calm the chat down. But no. This is NFT horse racing. And a completely unseen angle to this for me was at least 5 people who really don't mess with any horse racing for animal rights reasons have been like, "I love this." And so there's a whole new subset of people who are messing with this, who before had no interest.
It's pretty incredible when you talk about, a sport as old as horse racing in terms of, an understanding from a cultural perspective. You don't really need to explain to people what horse racing is, the object of the game, right? It's as simple as a race. So for a lot of people, they weren't horse racing fans first, but once they got into Zed, they became, virtual NFT horse owners, and they became excited about the prospect of racing horses, whether it be in the physical world with the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby, or if that's really not their speed, then just racing virtually. I mean, for me personally, I was not a horse racing fan, not because of any particular reason, just didn't interest me. And then once I got into Zed, I can't get enough of running these virtual races. It's a lot of fun. And once you start to really track, discover, and understand your horse, it opens up a whole new can of worms. That's just it makes the discovery kind of gaming process that much more fun.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Like I said, some of my highlights have just been watching the comeback races. One of the questions I get is, we just recently had a drop, which is where the Degens got our horses. How do you guys feel that went? What's your take? What's your feedback on that drop? How are you guys feeling about that?
Yeah, well, I'm just happy the Degens got a little taste of some horses in the drop. We love to have you guys as part of the Zed family, Zed Familia. Welcome.
Well, I was excited.
Yeah, that's such an awesome thing. So when you're talking about a drop at a scale, when in the context of what a drop looks like for a company that's scaling as quickly as Zed is, you had mentioned earlier that you had wished you got in 3 weeks earlier. I mean, we're talking weeks here, mere hours of people wanting to get in earlier than the other person because of the swarm of people coming onto the platform. So in terms of the drop numbers, I think that we sold out of all the horses within, very, very little time window. The demand for horses is through the roof. So right now, the next phase is figuring out how to get a bunch of people horses that did not get a chance to get a horse in the drop. And that is going to be through breeding. Beyond that, and I'll just touch on this. There was a defunct link that was sent out. People had trouble accessing, and we are prioritizing a private drop for those people that didn't really get a fair chance at getting a horse. So
cool.
We're looking out for the community. We want to get people horses. We want people to enjoy racing their horses, getting out there, being a DGen on the track, just having a great time. So that's huge, man. And I'm super stoked that you guys were able to get in on the Terra drop, because it was a fun time to be a Zed fan, to see the horses fly off the shelves like they did.
For sure. And so, you guys have any plans of changing the setup and style of drop? Because we did see a lot of like link sharing in the brackets. I know it was suggested against it, but it happened. You know, is with the giant volume and numbers we're having now, that kind of style is going to be, inevitably be exploited a little bit. Have you guys considered a change in structure and how you might, do that with the bracketing and the waves, or is that not really?
Yeah, no, that I completely hear you, and I think we hear what the community, and we're always community first in how we approach the big problems in the ecosystem. It's a balance. We're trying to ensure that new players are ushered into the ecosystem the same way that some of the OGs were able to get in, and I think part of that is a balancing act of understanding what will work best and how we format the drop after it. We're not a drop platform. We're not NBA Top Shot, but we're working towards becoming a platform where people are excited about the drop, and if they feel that the communication is streamlined, organized, and they have a real shot at getting a horse. And I think if we're able to accomplish 3 of those things, it'll be a lot of more fun for everyone. So we're in the lab, we're figuring things out. Like I said, we're scaling, and part of that is a lot of fun new things on the way. Part of that is understanding what works, what doesn't, and then adjusting from there. So be on the lookout for the next drop. It definitely should be fun, man. We're going to see a lot more wallets, a lot more people looking to get out on the stable.
I love it. I think we'll just take a second, take some questions from Fireman Steve, some of the other DGens. If Fireman Steve, you want to start us off, he's the head coach over there, or head stable master at Firehouse Stables. That's a syndicate we have within the DGens. Some of the more serious deep pocket players got together to get some Z1s and some more, like, take it a little bit more seriously, if you will.
Yeah.
So, you see to him, Fireman Steve.
Hey Roman, how you doing? My name is Steve.
Hey Steve.
Like Doc said, I'm one of the owners of the Firehouse Stable. So, couple questions. What made you guys come up with Zed?
That's a great question. So, in 2018, Chris Laurent and Rob Salha, they began to look at horse racing in a different light. How can they revolutionize and take one of the world's most ancient, kind of respected, understood sports and democratize that horse ownership for everyone, and leveraging the blockchain technology? It was a perfect marriage of their vision for the future of horse racing and sports into where we are as a technological kind of society, quote unquote.
Awesome. Next question. You mentioned breeding earlier, right? Mm-hmm. When would that be opening back up? And when it does open, are you going to be allowed to have in-stable breeding as well as inbred horses? Is that going to be allowed?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And I think when you ask that question, it should be asked in the format of 2 words: when breeding, without an H in the when. And it should be mashed on your keyboard hundreds of times over and over. Then it will truly become apparent when breeding is, and all the questions you have will be answered as well. But no, I'm kidding around. So to your question about, hey, what's the timeline look like? And also, what does the functionality look like behind breeding? And although I can't talk specifically about either of those things, what I can say is that the team is working tirelessly at ensuring that breeding is the best version it can be, and it's a sustainable version of what you guys will enjoy. It is a massive part of our game. It is a core part of our ecosystem, and Zed and Virtually Human Studios is super focused on making sure it's the best possible experience for everyone. So super excited to get back in the breeding barn, as I'm sure you guys all are. These horses are teaming for a mate, which I think we can all kind of identify with as DGens during this quarantine period, going out and meeting people. So, breeding is coming, and I'll leave it at that.
I just to add on that, not to cut off on Steve, because I'll let him continue. Yep. I see under development, you guys have said that you're looking to actually change those fees associated with breeding. Can you comment on that? Or
yeah, I can comment on the change in fee. So I believe that the Nakamoto bloodline, the base level, like the how should I put this? What is it? The base, like the lowest cost of, I don't know why it's escaping me, but the base fee, like the cheapest you can get a Nakamoto for or breed a Nakamoto for, is actually being raised. And the reason why we're doing that is to keep the respect of the bloodline and lineage for Nakamotos a little bit more elevated. As the game continues to completely kind of populate with bred horses, it should be said that, and known that basically the Nakamotos are a prized possession in the Zed ecosystem. So that's a little bit about the rationale behind keeping the holy through our eyes, and making sure that people really weigh the advantages and consequences to what does it mean to breed with another Nakamoto financially, and also how does it play out in the game.
Well, thank you for answering that. I have 3 more questions, if that's okay. Get more in depth with the stables and racing.
Yeah, for
awesome. So with the racing, right? How are you guys calculating the odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, why does it feel like some of the races are leaning towards one breed versus the other?
How do you mean?
Yeah, so there's a select group of horses that are dominating races in the classes that they are within, right?
And they're within the same breed, or are you saying there's just the same names coming up? Like, are they all Buterins? Are they all Devos?
Yeah. So there's a couple Feenies that are out there that are just killing it, right? And if I enter a race and they're not in there, but they happen to just pop in because you have to wait for it to fill up, it just seems every time they just keep winning nonstop.
The Finnies.
Finnies, I've noticed are just like super overpowered, but
Wow.
there's I've tried to break down the algorithm. Obviously, it's very hard, and you guys probably are not going to share that, right? At all. But I would love it if you do. If you do, listen, I'm not gonna, say anything. We keep it between us.
Yeah, we'll just keep it between us, man.
Just
share
between us.
Yeah, just us six sitting right here.
Yeah, just DM me. It's fine.
I'll write it in the chat. I'll try it in the chat. Don't worry.
Yeah, us and Twitch. Only us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've noticed that there is a few incidents where certain horses are just dominating, and nobody has a chance against them.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'll break this into 3 different kind of tranches to answer the question, because I think it does include, it includes a little bit of odds, it includes a little bit of the class system, a little bit of sandbagging. It covers kind of the racing ecosystem as a whole. But the first thing I'll say is Finny Gang. I rep Finny Gang, and I'm happy to hear you say that because I have a bunch of Z6s myself. And I'm happy to hear that we're represented out on the track. I actually haven't heard that before. So I'm excited because typically the bred horses are the ones that people are like, these horses are absolutely killing it, like a Steph Curry or some of the other kind of bred horses in the game.
Well, I can just say Steph Curry cannot beat Mayu. I will say that anytime Steph Curry is against Mayu, does
wow,
lose.
I didn't realize that was
100%.
yours.
Yes.
Salute
Yeah.
to you. Oh my God. All right. Well, let me button up a little bit. I didn't realize I was talking. But no, realistically, guys, when you look at a game, and you have to look at it through the sense of how do we, and this is through any game, and I know some Degens in the chat have played a bunch of different games where the meta is adjusted, right? Because things on the current circumstance of the game are making the game like bland and repetitive. So for us, it's really about understanding the balance of the game. Number one, what are making the great horses great, and how can we look at that, understand it, and make the game a better experience for everyone? And I will say that I enjoy understanding how the class system works, and I think an overhaul of the class system will be due. I'm not saying it's imminent, but I think anyone who really plays that enough understands that there's so much to build on there from a class system perspective, especially as new generations of horse are bred, and there's just so much variety in the game itself. Beyond that, the odds system. You may have noticed that there was an announcement announcing that the API for the odds system would be restricted and they would degenerate, and there are certain things about the odds system that we're going to be changing from our end. That's because from a user discovery perspective, and I've been a strong proponent of this, I don't really like knowing that my horse is a donkey after the first race. I don't know about you guys, but when you're able to unwrap, quote unquote, or see that your horse is performing a certain way to a T, I think that it takes away from the user discovery portion of it. Nonetheless, I do think the odds play an integral role in how the game is played right now, and they should not be kind of dismissed. But I know that the team is focused on a marriage between the odds and the class system into a result that will be, the best gameplay from a racing perspective. So that's kind of a long-winded way to say there are improvements coming. We take into account racing very, very as a super high priority. We want people to have fun in racing. We don't want them to get bullied out by a specific, racehorse. And ultimately, we want a casual fan to come on, have a beer with your mates, and enjoy some good old-fashioned racing and not feel like you're getting bullied out by some of the best horses in the game.
Now, leading into the next question, right?
Hold on.
With
Can
that,
I
yeah.
add to that? Will there ever be only 5 classes, or is it just going to be 5 classes overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, if you count the Griffin race right now, there's 6, but I'm just being a wise ass. I'm kidding around, but I think anything that you look at and you ask, will it always be? Is this never going to happen? Like, these absolutisms are, especially in a metaverse as dynamic as the one we're in right now.
What I guess, not like,
Yeah, exactly. Right now, we're looking and weighing out ways we can improve the game, and I think that the class system is definitely something that is in consideration.
Awesome.
So you said, just getting around with your mates and having a beer and having a good time. That being said, I've noticed from when we first started this to up to now, wait times went from 2 to 3 minutes, now upwards. The longest I have is 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys doing as a company to make this a little bit better than what it is on wait times, right? Let's just be straightforward. The wait times are very long, right? What are you guys doing or plan on doing, not even in the near future, but as of tomorrow, to make it better,
Absolutely. So I think, when you look at wait times, that you're not watching your race live as much, which stinks for a lot of people. And I understand that. I mean, looking at a race and waiting for 5 hours, what it does is, from a functional standpoint, it diversifies the pool of horses you're racing against, not kind of harping back to kind of when you get stuck racing the same, Psyduck or the same, Ducky Malin over and over and over again. I think that the lag in time does help reduce that. But beyond that, this is something that we're going to be improving and moving forward. You'll see change. I think right now, where we are in scale and development, we have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. We're looking at Zed on a week-to-week timeline right now from a user perspective, because where things were a week ago are kind of different than they were this week. And moving forward, just expect a lot to improve. And beyond that, we understand that the wait time is not exactly the most, fun thing to do with your race. So I guess there's nothing in the immediate future on the prio list besides kind of, making sure that the race is as fun as possible. So we definitely hear you, and I understand where you're coming from. Personally, from a racer too, I completely get it.
Yeah. Just wrapping up here. With that, right, we have, I want to know if you guys are going to be adding 2 things: practice races, so we can practice with our own horses, where that race that we practice in does not go against the life of the horse with races, right? We already know that each horse can do a certain amount of races, right? And then, sorry, I'm lost track here. So if we can do that, right, with the practice races, and then as well as, are you going to add in different tracks, like an oval track, stuff like that, weathers, ground?
So yeah, we'll be adding variables to enhance the diversity of the racing experience. So I think that whether that be track size, whether that be weather, whether that be fatigue, different variants, I think they're all on the table in making sure that we deliver an experience for racing that is fun, that is different, that offers users who may think their horse stinks a chance for them to really compete. As for the practice mode, that's an interesting suggestion. I personally haven't thought of that, and I think I can see why you'd want that. Or when you bring that up, are you talking about racing against, like, watching the horse itself, like your timing?
Your own stable.
Yeah, you're within your own stable. So,
cool.
let's say, I don't know, I want to narrow down a race that I think that my horse will be good in, right? Let's just say, I don't know, 1600 meters, right?
Mhm.
I can go through and, do 1600 meter race, right? And let's say it's a race that I lost. I could go back through and try different dimensions or whatever that I want to do to
Gates.
see,
Yeah.
different gates to see if me being in a certain position is better than the other.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I think that it falls in line with that kind of discovery part of the game that we were always focused on. That is part like is a really important part of the horse ownership process, which is definitely something we always take into consideration when we make improvements to the game and ultimately how Zed evolves as a whole.
I'm
Awesome.
not going to be mad if you guys, just decide to put practice in. I actually would love it.
Yeah, just go out there and practice. I mean, we'll throw in carrots too if you want, maybe a little.
Yeah, right.
tomato,
Exactly. Go
diet, yeah,
before we, before I move on to Vic, who's going to talk a little bit about the move to the near network and whatnot. Talking about, you guys have said in your under construction, you're working on the syndicate potentially, and how you might structure multiple owner stables. Right, and maybe creating a manager position in there, somebody who's able to come in and actually manage the horses and stuff. Is there any update on that, or have you guys where you guys stand on that currently?
I know that it's still part of the roadmap in terms of potential additions to the game that could enhance the user experience. I think anytime you look at horse racing, there is an inherent part of the sport that includes fractional ownership. Does that directly translate to the Zed universe and the current ecosystem we're in now? We'll see. I mean, right now we're weighing the prio list in terms of what do users need, what does the ecosystem demand, and how can we best serve the newest players on the platform and the OGs on the platform and everyone in between. So I think, especially when you're talking about a decentralized platform, and not to cut you off, I think that's a very interesting kind of portion of it, right? Decentralized ownership of a horse. But yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead, Vic. You want to ask some questions?
I was just going to say, not to trap you there, but you actually are technically in a chat right now with a decentralized horse stable. Firehouse is actually fully represented in this chat right now. Askew, Steve, JTag, myself, and Sparky are all equal share ownerships in the Firehouse.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. I think
if I could describe to you,
at once, powerful.
If I could describe to you how that thing came together, it is truly a testament to crypto. Like, I mean, we're sitting here in chat and we were racing, and some guys had bought a few horses, and we were realizing, like, oh no, this is a big deal. If you don't want to get these in the drop, if you want to play, you're gonna have to pay. And all of a sudden, about 5 of these guys just dropped off and went to a secret room. Like, where's everyone gone? Next thing you know, people are moving from Australia. They're just sending 5-figure sums of money in crypto all across the globe. And within an hour, you've got 5 strangers ultimately who've met on the internet, arranging massive 5-figure sums of money movements, and they buying a horse within an hour. I mean, if that's not a testament to how awesome this is, you know what I mean?
That's sick. I love that. I mean, I think when I first started, and it should be said that I started out as like a huge Zed head, and like I was flipping horses, having the time of my life. I used this thing like zelling random people and just hoping they'd send me the horse without an escrow in the Discord, and then ultimately I ended up working for the company. So I'm a Zedder, a Zed head. I'm always Zeddy. I'm staying Zedded up.
That's awesome. That's going to be an awesome story. How did you get connected to working with the company? Like, did you just reach out to them, or how did that happen? That must be a great story.
Yeah. So about 6 weeks ago, I attended an event on Upstream, which is it's a tech networking app, which is an incredible app on its own. And I was working in app development as an entrepreneur, and then I was turned on to these horses. At the time I bought two Z6s for like $1,600 from somebody on Venmo or Zelle on the Discord. And I ended up selling them and really started racing my horses and just being part of the community, man. It's such an infectious community where everyone is leveraging the data in ways that are so interesting, and learning about the game is such a fun part of discovering how your horse is going to perform. So honestly, I just became freakishly addicted to Zed and ended up messaging one of the community managers and was like, dude, how do I get in? I know you guys are scaling. I want in. And one thing led to another, and and now I've been hired. So things
That's
worked out,
awesome.
man.
That's awesome. I love it. Vic, if you want to ask some questions,
Yeah. So we just had a couple questions about some of the technical issues. So a number of our users have had issues with the whole Zed Wallet Matic setup, where a number of them initially had created accounts with their email address instead of a MetaMask
Right.
or
Yeah.
another soft wallet, and now they've had funds trapped, and just a bunch of people overall just who maybe aren't technically that literate, that are wanting to get into the horse racing scene, but feel that there's big barriers to entries right now with the current setup with Zed, trying to make that whole purchase happen either on OpenSea or through a drop.
Right.
Do you guys have plans in the near future to simplify that process and try to streamline it a bit more for some of the less tech savvy people? Like we do lots of Web 3.0 help here in the chat, and we've walked dozens of people through this process step by step, and even then, it's still difficult for many of the people just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the barriers to entry for people on crypto, I mean, we're a an NFT platformer as a game, so inherently there are barriers to entry to create an account because a lot of the users that are coming on to build a horse or buy a horse, it's their first crypto purchase. It's their first foray into this whole new realm where you have a wallet, you're buying from your Coinbase, you're transferring it over. Where does my money go? There's a gas fee for going from ETH to WETH. What is WETH? There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to understand. And I think as the ecosystem, as NFTs grow as a whole, and you've seen this with NBA Top Shot, the barriers to entry will begin to diminish. And when that does happen, there will be an exodus of a massive amount of people that have, access to the game that didn't before, because it can be tough. I think, part of what's so great about your community and the Degens and what you guys provide is you're able to walk some people through and lend a helping hand to those who kind of like feel left out in the dark with this whole crypto thing. I mean, obviously there's community guidelines from the Zed perspective, and we try to, help as many people as we can to try to onboard them onto the platform. But with that being said, man, crypto is in the NFT space, it can be tough to wrap your head around sometimes. So, I mean, we're definitely focused on making it easier. And I think also it should be said that hats off to what you guys are doing to help educate the people at large that are just getting new to this.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we try. So what's your next step, you think, in bringing down some of those barriers? Like, are you going to offer like direct fiat conversion through like a Zed app or something to like sync a wallet? Like, what in your mind, what's the very first thing you would do to make this more accessible to the broader public?
I think the best way to handle it would be to make it as easy as possible for people to spend their money, like any really, well-oiled machine or any platform. If you have, a bunch of conversions that are happening and people don't understand with their MetaMask, and there's a bunch of different kind of hoops you got to jump through, I think diminishing and streamlining that process is the best way to go about it. So, I mean, whether it be through fiat or a different cryptocurrency, we're a token agnostic platform. So for us, really the world's our oyster in terms of where we take it. I think with time, you'll only see it get easier.
Now, speaking of your token agnostic platform, you guys are talking about moving to the near network there. Can you give us like a little bit of a roadmap on that? Like, what can the current host owners expect for interfacing with the new network, switching over from the Ethereum network? Like, how do you see that process going as far as the transfers go?
I think that the way we see it is, as a company, we're strategically doing this in place to make the experience of the user, the player, the stable owner, the horse owner, the syndicate better. So, in the long run, this will be something that's beneficial to everyone in the ecosystem. We wouldn't be making the move if we didn't think it was the best thing for Zed.
So you can confirm that you guys are making the move to the near network, then?
I actually have no idea, to be honest with you. I have truly no idea. So I tried to play that off as if I had an idea of the near network, but if you could probably tell, my technological savviness is at a very, very low bar. So I apologize if I led you astray there.
No, it's all right. We'll have a follow-up interview. You can bring one of your devs with and we can grill him while you sit there quietly.
Yeah, I could just sit. Yeah, I'll just fold my hands and let you guys.
I mean, you've seen what I've been doing, so we can just do the same. You introduce him, I'll introduce Vic, and we'll be good.
Yeah, awesome.
One of the other big questions we've had from the community is, do you have any kind of estimated timeline on when the individuals that miscreated their Zed wallets initially have funds stuck. Do you know when your teams are going to start being able to reverse those transactions and free the funds?
So when you say free the funds, are you talking about people who have it in WETH right now that can't transact back?
No,
because they
so what
don't-
happened is a few of them had created email accounts without an underlying wallet connection, and when they move the
Yeah.
money, it's stuck in an invisible wallet that they can't access because there's not a MetaMask or other underlying soft wallet connected to it. So there's no process for them to move the funds back out, and it's stuck in limbo right
Oh
now.
crap! Yeah, no, our support team has been dealing with thousands of tickets regarding a myriad of different issues, and they've been working their hardest to make sure everyone gets it resolved. So I will plug our support team, hello@zedrun.com. If you do have an issue, make sure to send over an email, and they will get it to you. We have
How
an
do I
amazing
do that
team.
actually?
How do you send it? It's hello@zedrun.com.
That's it? Because I had tried to find the support. I can't find it because I'm having a problem too. So
Well, you have a support guy right here, so let me give you support live on stream right now. No, I'm getting the exact email address for
Okay.
you and for the whole team.
Yeah, I'll put it out in
and-
the Twitch chat once you get it there.
Yeah, it's hello@zed.run.
Okay.
Hello@zed.run.
Okay. Cool. And there's talk of you guys doing gambling too. What's your take on that? Like, is that, considering that the algorithm is, and to my understanding, hasn't been audited yet, and that's obviously a follow-up question if you guys have plans for that. And the algorithm is the trust basis of this, and we are just kind of trusting that it's created in good faith.
Right.
What's your take on where the company stands? Is that a so hard, like, yeah, we're doing gambling, or is that a we're looking into that? And I say gambling,
I think
betting.
Yeah. I think to answer your question, we're an entertainment company first. We like the thrill of the race and making sure that people are enjoying it and going about it and kind of staking their claim as an owner in the game is the most important thing to us, as you own yield-bearing assets that are kind of give you ownership over the game in a way that gambling simply doesn't. But wouldn't it be cool to also have that component to it, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun. I think the fans and the gamers and the players would love it, and it's definitely a realm that would be cool to play in the future.
For sure. But I mean, just circling back, for that to be a reality, I think ultimately there needs to be some sort of audit of that algorithm, a third-party audit for the investors.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
these things are getting
definitely.
to be $300,000 right now, and Ethereum's not even near 10,000. Which scalability means these things are going to be $1 million very fast.
Oh, totally. I
So,
completely hear you. And I think
yes.
our provably fair algorithm right now, as it stands, to the best of my brain, it's bulletproof, and it's been there has been steps taken to ensure that this is a safe, secure, fun, and provably fair platform. But
Okay.
when you bring up like third-party like auditors and stuff like that, to be honest, it's a little bit out of my pay grade. Like I'm really not familiar with all that.
I mean, maybe we can get back to us on that, and we can find out what the company. Maybe
Yeah,
we can
I
circle
mean,
around. Like I said, no one has the answer for everything all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ethereum 10K is not a meme, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, totally.
Oh, well, we've been sitting here chatting, and she's been going down and up on Bitcoin.
Oh man, I gotta check.
Yeah.
Don't
But-
worry, the chat will lose their mind if it dips too low.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll know because
yeah.
they'll be
But
screwed.
they did lose their mind already.
Yeah. No.
Well, it
Yeah,
touched
she-
34K.
I'm
Oh
talking
man.
both with Ethereum too, at
Yeah.
2100.
I mean, just circling back, you guys, you guys recently did the Preakness this last weekend, the partnership there.
Yeah.
And by the metrics, it looks like it was a resounding success. I mean, one of them sold for over 30 Ethereum, the other, and the collection sold for over 45. I think it was 47 or something ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, those are to go anything by. I mean, right before the dump too, which is always awesome.
Right
But
before
like, but the question I have is, do you guys have plans for more to expand on those relationships, to maybe move to other stakes races and in courses?
Yeah, I think when you look at partnerships, what do partnerships look for in the Zed universe? It's all about how can we organically phase brands or partners that we're working with into the Zed universe, and also have a piece of the Zed universe touch them as well. We don't want to ever to do something that seems inorganic. And when the Preakness and us were able to first connect, it just seemed like a match made in heaven, because it was physical horse racing kind of merging and colliding with what we've created on Zed. So I think a lot of people were excited, and also just like a big part of that was the skins. Like it's the first look at like what skins will look like in the Zed universe, right? There'll be commodities that stand alone on their own 2 feet, and I think you'll see that the Series 1 collection of skins, what do they look like, and what other skins are coming, and how do they fit into the ecosystem, are all really exciting propositions that kind of show you a little bit behind the curtain of where things are headed.
Awesome.
Can I add on to that about the skins, Doc?
Go for it.
So with the skins, I was seeing in some of the things, if you breed a horse that's the same color as both its parents, some people didn't have it listed as a super coat. My question is, why are some of the users having to go out of the way to fix these issues and bring it to Jay himself instead of it already being like that?
So I think you're actually, and yeah, I hear exactly what you're talking about. So we're talking about skins, and actually what you're talking about are coats.
Coats, yeah.
So there's 2 separate. So like coats are inherently part of the breeding process and the genetic of the genetic algorithm of the horse themselves. Where skins are super cool because they're going to be independent of the horse's genetics. So you can put a skin on your Z1, you could put a skin on, a different horse. The interoperability of the skins are what I'm super stoked about. But to answer your question about super coats, I think there's like a small percentage chance that if you take like a like aggressive azure and you mate them together, there's like a very small chance that you'll actually get a super coat. You still play the genetic lottery.
Okay.
So people who don't get a super coat when they do breed, I think that's because you're not guaranteed one. But Jay is definitely the man when you talk about if you feel like something is amiss with what you're experiencing from a gaming perspective, always feel free to reach out to Jay, one of the most stand up and helpful people in the metaverse right now. That's Zed Run, and you can find him in our community Discord, always ready to help and always kind of be that bridge from Zed to the community.
Awesome. So if you had to say just yourself in yourself right now, what are you focused on in the next big thing for the Zed that you're focused on and excited for? Is it the breeding? Is it the next drop? Is it what the races? What is it the next thing that you yourself are? Because you're a Zed head first, right? Just like us.
Yeah,
so what is it that you? I mean, no inside information, but what is it for you personally that you know is coming in the next, I guess, 2 or 3 things that is like, okay, this is for me. I like this.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the skins for me.
Okay.
It's got to be the skins. For me, I'm a guy who started out on Fortnite early on. I had the skeleton skin. I'm somebody who really likes to express myself through the things I own, whether it be dressing up my G.I. Joes or just like, fashioning my Pokemon team the right way. I always find that the customization element of any game, especially when we're talking about ownership and true ownership in NFTs, is something that gets me going. So I'd like to see some awesome freaking partnerships, some great skins, some artistic kind of really interesting and cool ways to kind of add some pizzazz to my stable.
Hear that. Was anyone else?
So
Go ahead.
Well, in that same line, we've had a lot of people that are actually from the horse racing community that have been very interested in you guys looking to add additional accessories like jockeys, saddles, tassels, medals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we've also
Like,
like, what's the timeline that if you guys are even planning on doing any of that kind of stuff?
Wait, so I'm sorry, could you repeat? You kind of cut out quickly. So
Oh,
what is
sorry.
the timeline?
Yeah, so a number of the people that are from the actual horse racing community have been very interested in the whole Zed Run, but they want some more information. Like, are they going to see jockeys? Are they going to see saddles? Are they going to see other like accessories that you can add to the horse, like ribbons, braids, tassels?
That'd be cool. I think ultimately, like, cosmetic control over an asset that you own is always something that people will crave and want. I think that ultimately on a prio list, we have a certain amount of time to allocate to different portions of the game. I know I've heard jockeys be brought up from the community a lot. I don't know if I'm crazy about it personally, but I'm not the head of product. I think, there's like people like that want their bored ape, to ride the horse. And there's also other people that never want to see a jockey on one, and they'd rather see kind of like a different like breed of horse, like a Clydesdale or something. But I think that like it's kind of like akin to like the preseason 1 of Fortnite, where everybody had a different vision for where the game could go, and ultimately throughout time, everything was touched upon gracefully in kind of the right way. By the way, I like Fortnite if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that these are all things that have touched our kind of brainstormy brains. But right now, I don't think there's like jockeys in like the immediate future.
Well, I imagine if I could just infer myself, I imagine the jockeys, because it adds an extra level of complexity to the algorithm, are being saved for a scalability, back pocket scalability, right? Like if you blow up and have 1 million extra users, there's not enough horse under the current, structure of it. You add jockeys, that adds an extra level of complexity that enables you to do things on scale.
Yeah.
The other one, so
yeah,
I
like-
guess I just saw a question. I hate to steal Askew's job as moderator of the chat, but I saw. Are we thinking about the same marketplace for skins or a separate marketplace in Zed website?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. You know, very, very, very educated question, I feel like, because that's an interesting kind of peek into like what are we vertically integrating as VHS and Zed. And to that end, I'll say right now, you can see on the Preakness that we bundled it on OpenSea. So look for that a little bit more. But as we grow and as we continue to scale our business, I'd imagine that it'd be within our appetite of, you know, growth to integrate that into our own platform. But right now, it's on the Preakness. Let's base what we have on the Preakness and the way we've done it there. So look for a little bit more on OpenSea.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I had another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sparky.
Go ahead. I talk. You can go first.
My only real question is I'm extremely curious about the breeding. I was informed by someone that you can only breed a stud if you put it up on the marketplace. Like there's no option for interstable breeding, if you would call it. So like, you know, you have a stud and a male and a female in your own stable, and there's no option to breed it within your own stable without putting it up on the marketplace and giving other people an option to breed with it. Is that, can you clarify that? Is that true?
Well, that's how it's done. I mean, have you guys ever been through a breeding cycle yet as a stable?
No.
When we got into it, the breeding was closed.
Oh, okay. So I'm safe to call you some virgins when it comes to the breeding. Okay, absolutely. So I just wanted to slip that in there. No, I have never. I too am a virgin when it comes to the breeding. I leave all my horses unraced and unbred. But yeah, so right now, basically the way that is, the reason why that's in place, man, is because you have massive stables that inbreed, and you have all of a sudden these freaking absolutely beastly stables. And I think, breed sniping is something that, everyone has to deal with, even if you have Breathless Edge or my horse, Le Horse, who's just a donkey. So I think that although it's a bummer for those who have stacked up their, just army of amazing horses, and they're like, we just want to inbreed. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to breed, you have to put it up on the stud just like anyone else, and you have to be quick on your toes and try to be aligned in who and what you're aiming for. Will that change down the line? Who knows? Will it change next breeding? Who knows? I think that I'm in the same camp as you guys, where it'd be cool to be able to dominate my horse's genetic sequence and line. I know that Zed Gazette has talked infamously about making sure that the bloodline is not seeped into other stables, and you're able to clearly be able to own and study it and monopolize it. But yeah, that's part of the game theory of the game, man. Like right now, that's how it is, and I think it's a little bit more of a balancing act than it is anything else.
I mean, for me, it's less so about. When I think about horse racing in a real world perspective, I mean, I obviously know nothing about horse racing because I don't do horse racing in real life or have anything to do with it. But I obviously imagine that, there are the $1 million, $1 billion stables who are into breeding all the time, and the younger stables, the smaller ones, just kind of have to cop that. That's just the way it is, right? It's like you're in this game. Those guys have a lot of money, and they're the guys that are going to be doing that. And if we're here paying, $40,000 for a Z1 on a drop, it's kind of a little bit frustrating to know that there's always that option for someone to snipe your Z1, putting it up on the marketplace to try and breed. When you're trying to breed something that costs you $40,000 and make a little bit of profit, it's a little bit weird to know that someone can just come along and just be like, hey, that horse looks good, and just sort of snipe it straight from under you. I just think it's a bit strange. That's all.
Yeah. I think breeding is like an aspect of the game that's super complex, and I don't do it justice because I actually haven't bred. I'm of the ilk that I'm leaving all my horses in the packages. So I would recommend that with your breeding questions and like specifics about genetics, how they're passed down. Is it stupid to get sniped? Why is the sniping there? You ask like it's like more of a community driven question in a lot of ways, because it's part of the way you play the game. But yeah.
It's infinite at this point, right? It's only for a certain amount, but it is infinite breeding for the horse's life, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you say infinite, you mean like it's not like you're capped at like 10 or 12 horses in your life. Like, yeah. It resets on. Oh yeah, we're good.
Never
It resets on it's the horse's birthday once per month.
Right. I can breed for the
Okay.
next years, right? For now.
You can breed. It resets on like a timer. So like you can check in your stable, like on your horse, like when your horse's birthday is, and which is hilarious that your horse has a birthday. I know some people in chat are like, when's my horse's birthday? You check when your horse's birthday is. You do. You know, you're allowed a certain number of breeds as a mare and as a filly. I mean, as a mare and a stallion, and then from there it resets every month.
Okay, so that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, are you done, Will, with your question, or did you have another one?
That was my main one for the moment.
Okay. And then my only other question is, I just heard you guys mentioned about like the last 2 months. I know we're focused on the racing. So in addition to that, like sponsored races, and I heard you guys talking about tournaments for the horses. So depending on like.
Whoa. That would be awesome. I'm sorry, go on. My mind goes into different places. I'm like a partnerships guy.
Yeah, and then can you say anything about this Des token? I haven't heard that mentioned much either.
Yeah, I think the Des token, like there's going to be like a community, there's going to be like a briefing on the Des token as soon as the team is comfortable of where it's at and like how it's going and where they want to take it. I know like internally they're still like in the lab with it. But that's going to be a super cool portion of the game. And then in terms of the tournaments, I think we all like understand that, you know, it's a sport. Like horse racing has real derbies. It has, you know, it's a natural progression of like where things are headed for us as the first NFT esport. So when you look at it from the lens of what's possible through that lens, I think tournaments are inevitable.
Oh. I have one random question. I guess we'll wrap it up after that. We've taken a lot of your time, and I appreciate it.
Of course.
Just the other one is I've heard a couple people say one clarification on the naming of horses. Can you change the names, or is it once you've named it? Is it not? Can you sell it once you sell a horse? Is the name maybe changed, or is it done?
I think you were able to change the ability of the names before, like you didn't have to name it, and then you guys changed it to you having to name it, type of deal. So in the future, is it like we can rename it or still get unnamed horses, or do we have to like name it right away, like what it is?
Okay, so the Genesis horses are all named, just as a blanket statement. So they're all named. You get it from the company that's named. It's named something. So then when you're breeding it, you get a horse that's an unnamed foal, and you're able to name that foal. Once it's born, you have to name it. You can't change it.
It wasn't before. Like when Zed first started, you didn't have to name it, so they just changed that.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think at some point you were able to keep unnamed foals like unnamed and sell them.
Yeah, because a couple on the marketplace that were still unnamed.
Yeah, it says unnamed foal, right? Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it's like the name premium is so cool, man. Like I think like that's almost like the domain names of like, you know, you like look up like, you know, what was worth a lot of money during the domain boom of the late 1990s into 2000s, and you kind of look at what the horse names are now and what sells at a premium. Kind of cool.
Well, on that topic of domain name, are you guys going to do anything about the actual stable naming? Because we're actually currently in a feud with another stable over the naming rights, and we've thrown down the gauntlet to a 1,000-meter race for who gets to keep the stable name. Because we were under the impression impression that the stable names were on the blockchain and that they were immutable and only one could exist. And now we're in this spat between
in this case,
Firehouse.
to defend the unrepresented right now, theirs is Firehouse Stables, and the current syndicate is Firehouse. They added the stables to the end, so they're actually technically the best. Yes. They are the best kind of right. They are technically right. They are different.
Yeah,
they are these guys are just joking.
Yeah, wow. I need to tune in.
But that does bring up the good question of being able to challenge other stables. Right, being able to say in that tournament is, you know, being able to say, hey, Firehouse wants to challenge Firehouse Stables. Is that something you could foresee being a functionality, something to input?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I'm a huge fan of shit talking.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of watching people, call each other out and get on the track and race. I mean, if you ever watch a Pony Plug stream, that's basically what they do the entire time. And beyond that, who wouldn't love to see a little internet feud?
Exactly.
And on the track? I
Oh,
think
listen, they made fun of my man bun. Like, you come after my man bun, we're gonna have problems, you know?
you're
I
gonna,
mean-
that's facts. I think I'm actually like, Mini gang, everyone stand up. We got to find out who are these people, Fireman Steve. I don't like to hear that, man.
Fortunately, they're a team of firefighters, so there's nothing. You can't talk too much smack because
but
it's like,
here's
what
the
are
thing,
you
I'm a
gonna do? Like,
firefighter
you know
too,
what I mean? Like,
Oh, they're a team of firefighters?
yeah. So I mean, they have a claim to it. You know what I mean? They have a claim to it.
But I'm a
Right here,
firefighter too, though. It's in my name.
Yeah, it's in your name. You're right, dude. Yeah, totally.
I love it, but you hear it. Like this whole aspect of the community is intoxicating. We have it in the chat right now, you know what I mean? Where people have a chat coming, or what race are you getting in? I'm not saying, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you want some smoke? And it's like Farmer Steve will be like, you getting in a race? What race you getting in? I'm like, oh man, well, all right, well, don't put Mayu in. The whole back and forth. It's intoxicating. And then
I'm with you.
like I said, the amount of people that come in here and say, what is this game? And you go, no. These are NFTs. We are adults. We are investing.
Yeah, I think.
And hopefully
the perfect
soon,
person-
me and Fireman Steve will get together, and my NFT and his NFT will have sex, and those NFTs will make babies, and then we'll sell them for money because we're adults. Yay!
That's beautiful. The circle of life.
Do you think claims racing will be a thing?
Planes racing?
Claims.
Claims racing. What do you mean?
Like pink slips. You know what I mean? Like for horse.
Oh shit! No, I've never even heard of that.
Do is competitive horsing where you match the courses equal value? Like you bet on the horses that are like.
Wow, you guys really are Degens.
Oh yeah, we've been on. We're looking at here.
Like, can you bet my mortgage of my house? No, I don't.
Why do you think we got into this, mate?
As it stands right now, like I have no real official answer on that because I actually haven't heard it. But maybe internally they've spoken about it, but I haven't heard about it really.
Awesome.
That is high stakes. That is freaking high stakes. I'd like cry if I lost.
But man, high scale. It's all relative though, right? You're seeing guys. I've got guys in the DMs. We've got some like a few not celebrity, bigger whale personalities who've messed with the Degens because we've helped them out, and they've sent me DMs where they bought Z1s and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's all relative. If you got some guy sitting in Singapore who's dropping $1 million on a horse, that guy wants to do straight up with another guy with $1 million horse. And I, as somebody who doesn't barely have a $200 horse, I want to watch them do that.
I want to watch that.
You know what I mean?
My God.
So
100%, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think that's inevitable, and I also think that like the joy that like comes with watching like digital horses race is infectious, and like it's just becoming like a phenomenon, man. And it's so awesome to see. And like, I think it's a testament also to like our community because you guys probably know this. You started out, you're like, what is Zed? Oh, it's virtual horse racing. And like, there's a level of depth to the game, right? Because once you start, it's pretty easy. Like, you know the rules. But then once you really get into it, there's so much deep content you could really wrap your head around about building a stable out, how you genetically map out what makes sense for you when you talk about breeding, but what your horse is best at in racing, and then ultimately what will appreciate and value as an investment for collecting. So there's so much shit to do, and it's so fun. There's so many community tools that help leverage you as a data collector and just a strategist. It's fun, man. I want to go on right now.
I love it. Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, have you been in the Twitch chat? Have you seen any of the horse races that we've been doing on here and how the chat loses it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't
lose
been
it.
invited.
Oh, Doc, I DM'd you some clips. You should show him a couple of the clips we've taken.
I'll have to send them over, but
well, you should you should be able to see them.
The real question is,
I'm not
if you're
streaming
into-
them.
Are you into VV?
Oh.
Do you have any VV NFTs?
Do I have any? I'm so sorry. I keep asking but what did you say? Media fees?
VV.
NFTs.
Oh no, what is that? I mean,
Oh.
I actually do know what it is, but can you give me an outline of what it is?
Doc, that's all you.
That's Sparky the plug. So VV is just like the biggest branding company getting into NFT company. And so if VV was our first Zed, you know what I mean? Like the way that everybody in the community just goes hyper for it, immediately starts going quiet. Like the way you know that something's going to be a hit is when we talk about it on this channel, certain people go real quiet and then they disappear. and the next time you hear them, they've got one. They're like, oh yeah, I totally just got one of those, by the way. After, you know what I mean? And so that, you know, VV was the first iteration of that. And, you know, like I said,
It's like VEOX.
no,
like,
it's
there's an X
VE,
on it.
VE.
Oh, wow.
It's the company's
Yeah,
Akomi. They're going to have Pokemon, essentially. They have Marvel. They have all the branding rights. Yeah, you're right. That's that right there. People watching, if you want to see, we call ourselves value monkeys. When you want to see what value looks like, that face right there was value. That's what it looks like, right? Yeah, if you look into Akomi, buddy, sub a penny, that right there that's hot fire.
Well, so on the topic of branding, have you guys, you're the partnership man, so have you guys started doing any partnerships or outreach, trying to expand the Zed Run space? Because we've had dozens of people hit us up asking about how they can watch Zed Run in a VR space. And more importantly, our mindset was, have you guys looked at brand partnerships with NFT land spaces like Decentraland or Upland or something like that, where you guys would physically own NFT racetracks in those digital spaces, and then people in VR life could go to the racetracks and watch these horse races go in real time.
Because before,
like a true
Yeah.
virtual
We
horse
should
racing.
just have you as a part of the team. over here.
Well,
It's
here's
like
the
you're telling me-
deal. Here's the deal. We've already done that. Producer Ted, who live produces my brother, he has already VR streamed Zed races that we've been in for people to watch within theaters. So we'll set up a theater space in a virtual reality world so we can all watch the races. So we're already actually doing that as a group, as a community. But Vic's question really is more like, can we expect to see you guys looking for partnerships with the big players to actually get, you know how Atari just did a casino in Decentraland, I do believe, I've not misspoken. Can we expect that sort of thing from you guys? Like a racetrack, a Preakness racetrack within Decentraland.
I think what you can expect from us is understanding the pulse of the metaverse, understanding where it's going, how we can contribute, and where we can make an impact. Obviously, that's not exactly an announcement nor an endorsement, but it more so is a understanding as where we are as a company, where we're aligned, and how we can maximize the utility of our platform and also the reach of our platform. So I don't think you guys are far off in saying that. I think that everyone gets excited when you talk about it. Wow, that would be pretty cool to do. Ultimately, I think where Zed heads next, and you also asked about, are we looking at brand partnerships and are we reaching out? I think the amount of intake I have per week is ridiculous, from brands that are as old as dinosaurs to, you know, as cool as some of the top NFT projects coming out right now. So it's fertile. The ground is fertile right now for partnerships in Zed, and just hold on to your hooves. There's some cool stuff coming.
Awesome, man. Well,
Okay.
Like I said, I don't want to keep you too long, but you've given us an hour of your time, and it's been absolutely awesome, bro. And hopefully, like I said, we'll get you back on, and maybe some other guys, like I said, we'll get in contact and get it set up again, because we want to continue to keep that connection. You know what I mean?
Are you in a bra, Fireman Steve?
Oh yeah. Actually, that's a teddy, sir. That's a teddy. Please use the correct term. That's a teddy.
No, it's a bralette.
He probably can't see, Steve. You better adjust your camera. If you adjust your camera, he might be able to see.
Oh my God! Oh my
So you haven't seen our race days then? So I've sent you some clips, Roman. I've sent you some clips you need to watch. We have a clip of Booyah and Fireman Steve watching a race that had over 20,000 clicks on Twitch of them celebrating in race day attire. I mean, we get dressed up for race day. We have owner's box.
Wow! Thank you so much for getting dressed up. I really feel appreciated.
I mean, this is just normal day. I mean, wait, pop in for race day. We always, but owner's box. Everyone dresses up. It's quite the enjoyable.
Yeah, you should really see the clips that Doc has there for you, especially the one of him buying their first horse and the first couple wins we have. Doc pretty much had an aneurysm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think my time is up here, fellas. I really
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thanks
always
a lot,
a part of everything. It's been awesome. Thanks for having me. Shout out to the Degen community. Shout out to the Zed heads out there. You already know how it is. Love you guys and have a good one.
Appreciate it, Roman. Thanks so much for taking the time, buddy.
You guys are on.
I have respect.
Peace out.
Thank you.